Yes, yeah, we kind of voted in that last week. It's the last one.
How you doing? Great. Well, doing well. Over by your house. Oh, yeah. About a month ago.
You looking to buy over there or?
No, we were doing a tour of the over
Party
there.
around?
Nice, that, right?
Yeah, that's gonna be a really good attraction to, helping nurture a multi-generational neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. And so we, someone's like, that's Pasquale's house. I went and knocked on the door.
I can't, right here, it'd be really bad.
Someone said that's Pasquale's house and I knocked on the door, but I guess you weren't.
Oh. You have to knock louder.
So we're ready to go and you off.
There, I can't.
Question. 5 hours.
All part of the game.
I think you're gonna have to all the way down before you don't have a microphone.
The what?
Depends how badly.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because the real is the less to come, right?
Yeah.
So we can start.
Yeah, whenever
We
you're ready.
can. Officially recording and live. Sorry?
We're live streaming and recording.
Oh,
Yeah, so if you can go ahead and please turn on your microphones.
All right, call this meeting to order. This is the November 15th meeting of the University Impact District Review Board. The next meeting will be on Thursday, the 2nd of December, excuse me, that's business meeting. The next meeting will be Monday, December 20th, 4 p.m. All right, so swear in staff. Lewis? Bill, you part of this too? You all swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth? Yeah, right, thank you. Board roll call, that's yours, right?
Yes. Keone,
Here?
Squally,
Here.
Stephen, not here. Jay Jones is not here. Doreen, not here. Frank,
Here,
you, and Karen, here. Warren.
All right, and I guess just as note to applicants, we have 4 out of 7 board members here, which means you need a unanimous vote in order for your application to pass. All right, let's see. Do I need to care about the City of Columbus COVID-19 safe work practice guidance?
can I add that you can also ask to postpone
Yeah, here.
in that same regard?
Thank you. I assume that's just, the guidance is just there so we don't know.
So, yes, I was under the impression, correct me if I'm wrong, that a majority is needed for, then a majority of those present are needed to approve.
No. Not unless the rules have changed. We have always had 4 minimum votes.
Okay. Sound good.
Okay?
Yeah, that's kind of my understanding. Is
I think that may be the Roberts rules, but that's not.
I do get it. Sounds good.
All right, let's see. Anyone have anything for the public forum? Nope. All right, board members, have you reviewed the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes.
The corrections or changes? If not, can I get a motion?
Are they voting to approve?
Second,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Pass. Oh,
I abstained because I wasn't here.
okay. All right, the motion passes, the minutes are approved. Okay, agenda for today, looks like it's new applications. So the first one up, UID 21-11-001, 1586 North High Street. Wall sign, you break, I fix.
So that is the first case.
Is the applicant present? You wanna come up front, take a seat?
Okay, so here's the location of the first case. We're at 1586 North High Street. Went ahead and we did some site visits. Where are the locations? So here you can see it's the storefront where the old Verizon store used to be. Here's a view looking south. Yeah. See where the side used to be, and there is the existing storefront, and there is the side van.
What's all the black, those black specks? These are screw holes.
I'm guessing.
Is that truly all screw holes?
Yeah, those were individual letters, I believe, so it looks like those are probably,
This is always the problem.
That was probably the wireless.
And that's a Luga bond, isn't it? Thank you.
So it's located in the gateway. They are seeking approval for one wall sign consisting of LED illuminated halo channel letters with white faces and charts. The sign measures 13 feet by 4 inches wide by 26 inches tall. It will be individually stud mounted on the side of the building. Proposal is consistent with the recommendations of the University District Plan. It recommends that wall signs be limited in size to a maximum width of 2/3 the width of the building front and a height of 1/3 of the height of the space between the ground floor and the transom and the cornice of the building. Utilize internally lit channel letters. As proposed sign is consistent with the size, length, material recommendations, staff recommends approval. I pull up the actual proposal here for you to look over. So here you can see the new sign will be where it got fixed. That is it. With that, we have the applicant.
All right, if you'll raise your right hand, as the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
yes, it is.
Thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Tell us about it.
Yeah, this is just a standard, I guess, I believe that the current Verizon letters are already removed from the site. The client that I'm working with does not have any indication, I don't think that there's anything been discussed about fixing the ACM panels behind. I don't know whose responsibility that would be, most likely the landlord's. That discussion has not been had, but we're just going to go and reinstall another set of channel letters that look exactly the same, but read differently. Lisa Hawkins, with day-night sign.
Raceway or not, Lisa?
Individual, no raceway. Or mounting holes in them.
Are you fancy? Are you doing?
Yes, I am.
What can you do about this guy?
I mean,
It's the
depends.
burden
Do
on
you want to patch the holes or you want to replace the AC?
Well, I don't want to put that burden on Kevin. To replace the ACM. But look, Louis, can you give us that picture again, please?
Yes.
So was that a bar under Verizon or was that a tenant prior to Verizon?
It was probably the Verizon, there was a tagline, like a swoosh underneath them. I don't remember what Verizon.
I wonder if I said wire jobs. I can pull it.
It may- Well, the
No, it's all there.
picture that I have doesn't show.
Yeah, I think that's a
Oh,
prior.
yeah, no, it's there.
And talk to me about this white. What is this? What's going on with the white storefront surround? Why does that just look like primed wood or something?
It used to say Verizon.
Oh, yeah, it was different.
And
Yeah.
they switched to it up there. What else would you like to see?
Well, the storefront, what is that?
They probably painted it
Oh,
without,
look at it, it's a mess. So somebody painted, I doubt that we approved that.
I would agree.
I don't think we've ever. Why would we let somebody paint the base building window frames? Oh,
Painting doesn't require.
Oh, because it's considered maintenance.
Yep.
Even if you're painting storefront system, it doesn't need to be painted.
no, you can't, well, if somebody went and, so you're telling me somebody can go and paint their brick house white?
As long as it's not understood.
I don't. Well, I believe you, Louis. I just think that this is criminal because of, forget the aesthetics. You see what happens when you paint anodized aluminum. The door, I can't imagine the door has worn off.
Well, I mean,
Okay, all right, we're not gonna solve the world's problems here today.
the world is worse problems. I think we should be clear. But I guess the issue is how much of this is the applicant's
I
responsibility.
think the applicant probably has the obligation to patch the holes.
Yeah.
So what can you patch those holes with that won't be,
Clear silicone is what we patch with.
say again?
Clear silicone is what we patch with. It's clear silicone. We're not a facade restoration company, so any facade that needs to be restored to even similar to like new conditions is not something that day-night sign company will do. That would have to be subcontracted out to a wall, somebody who specializes in it.
Well,
Well,
When we remove letters from the wall or signs from the wall, our patching consists of clear or paintable silicone. And that's it. That's the extent of our.
can't stretch it to have gray silicone.
You can, yes, you can. If you'd like for it to be colored, yes, you can do that. Is it going to match the base?
No, but it won't be black.
No, but, yeah.
I mean,
I think the landlord's got to deal with this.
Yeah, campus partners.
right. I mean, the problem is certainly the tenant doesn't deserve to be penalized for essentially.
Honestly, it depends on what the lease says. I've seen leases that say that they have to deal with it, but I don't.
Could you two speak into the mics, because I can't.
I'm sorry,
No.
I said some leases, do speak to that. I don't know that theirs does or doesn't.
But we can notify campus partners about the storefront and the patching, but allow them to patch.
The conditional approval of the applicant's sign with the caveat that the landlord is obliged to remove the white paint and patch the holes in the.
I don't think we could do that.
Well, they're not going to avoid it. So, no, I think probably, why don't we just approve it with the condition that they patch the holes with gray silicone to the best of their ability. And next time we have Erin Prosser here.
That's not gonna do it.
Oh, she didn't move from them anymore.
No.
She works for the city, actually.
Well, maybe that's worse. Maybe that's better. I don't know. Seems to me we've got it.
I think it's a separate issue.
Okay, I move that we approve the application as submitted with the following condition. That the surface be cleaned with soap to remove as much of the shadow of the Verizon sign as possible. And that the holes that will not be used be patched with gray silicone.
With soap, does that mean power washing or washing with a sponge with soap? And if there's still debris up, like who says, hey, this is clean it
I
up?
didn't ask you to make it perfect. I just asked you to wash it. If you can't, if it doesn't come off, it doesn't come off, but you gotta try. I don't think that's unreasonable. It's clearly a dirty surface, and before you put a new sign on a dirty surface, you should at least clean it. So that's my motion.
There a second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Application passes.
Thank you. I like your shoes.
Much appreciated.
All right, next case up, UID 21-11-002. Yes, 2600 North High Street.
600 North High Street. Here it is on the aerial for you all to see between Duncan and Hudson. Being of older buildings here on the east side of the street. We did a site visit as well. Look for you. So here's the building as it currently is. There. Here's the building as it currently exists. See the existing vapor smoke sign, some of the other signage on the building. Looking south, give you kind of some idea of the context of the area. Signage. That's that. And, yes, okay. So, it's a contributing brick building with first floor retail space. They are seeking approval of one wall sign that consists of LED illuminated aluminum channel letters with polycarbonate vinyl faces. The font sign will measure 124 inches wide by 14 inches tall and will be mounted to the facade using a raceway with 1/4 inch Tapcon screws. Raceway will be painted to match the red brick of the building. Proposal is consistent with the recommendations, and these recommendations are the same as the last ones. I won't read those. I suppose one condition we could do is ask that they anchor the sign into the mortar, not the brick, if the board feels so inclined. That's it. I'll just pull it up here. Yeah. Which one did you?
Three.
Yeah,
That's three.
looks like they're centering on.
That's your door, is it not, on the left?
That is correct.
Oh, sorry, we should swear you in. If you want to raise your right hand, do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Right, anything you want to add to the application?
Can I get your name too?
My name is Paul Lyda, Lyda, with Sandpax.
Paul, anything you want to tell us about the application?
No, it is pretty straightforward. I see what you're saying here. I think they were looking to center it over that column
Yeah,
is what my designer was going for. But I do see what you're pointing out with the windows above it. It really wouldn't make much difference to us, to be honest. If you wanted to slide it a little bit to the left. But it is something that's going to be mounted on a raceway, so it won't hamper the install much at all.
What does your 156 inches represent?
It's the 156, I believe.
column.
Yeah.
Center line.
But the width of your store includes that door, is that correct?
Correct.
The door to the left also, that is his door on the left.
Oh, that's what I'm asking.
I don't think so.
Well, I'm asking.
600. No, the door to the right is the entry door.
So
That's why it's that.
Yeah. On the left, I think that's one of those.
That is
I
upstairs.
think that's the apartment.
Yeah,
The apartment.
Yeah, it's just an entrance. So these lines were based upon the site survey we did where we go in and we try to approximate where their unit is.
Can you zoom, can we go look at the full elevation again? No, I'm sorry, that won't help it. And what are those pink areas on the side? What are
That's
those?
where the old signs used to
See,
Someone did a good job.
Yeah, somebody painted the brick and painted around the sign.
do the street view or whatever it is to show us
On the side visits, yes.
the full facade. Okay, so it's centered, the triangle thing is centered on the storefront now.
Right, and that's my design was just mimicking.
I think you probably just. You hear what we're talking about here, guys, whether or not it should be centered on the bay, the brick bay, or it should be centered on their business.
No.
Actually, I'm rethinking. I think centered on the brick bay. Because it's still gonna be 100% over their store, you know?
Yeah, I think there's enough room there to do that. so.
Yeah. You all agree on that? Good?
You don't care.
No, it
Same thing.
doesn't make it better.
We're just trying to decide if we should center it over the two storefront windows
It's
alone.
appropriate where it is.
Really not centered over the bay, meaning from the brick to the brick, which is the bay of the storefront.
I think the more, I mean, for me, I think the more prominent thing, where there's the windows, there's also those two kind of decorative columns. So, which I guess what you're saying, you can center on those.
No, I would center it on the three windows above, or centered on the brick bay, left to right. In other words, the traditional storefront location center would be from brick bay to brick bay. Brick pier, neutral pier as we call it.
Kind of different, because I think it's gonna be.
Yeah, well, we were kind of indifferent.
Yeah, and then it would look a little offset.
Can we go back here?
I think it makes more sense to be centered on the big windows below it than it does.
But it's not. Well, I mean, 6 to 1, you have to.
Yeah, there it is. So that's the way they propose it, which is centered on the two windows, right? The other solution is to slide it over such that the V will probably be located in that one barber pole, by that one barber pole. And Louis, you're objecting to the width of it because it's wider than 2/3 of their actual storefront?
No, I'm not objecting to it at all. No, I was saying what we could do is request that they anchor it into the border and not the brick.
Sure.
Yeah. But besides that, we're fine. It's up to you guys.
And that's
What's
actually
your
why we
opinion?
picked that fast.
Where would you locate the sign left to right?
Like you guys, I really don't. Yeah.
I think the tree on the left side makes it okay to put it where it's at, to be honest. Because the tree kind of covers up a lot of that. division.
All right, seems like entrances. Someone's gonna make a move.
Sorry. That's my opinion.
Hey, well, you know. I move we approve the application as submitted with the following condition that the raceway installed such that the fasteners will be located as to only penetrate the mortar joints, either head joints or bed joints of the.
We can do that.
Yeah, that's why we propose the fasteners we do.
All second.
All right, all those in favor say
Greg, I
aye.
have a question. How is it linked?
LEDs inside the letters internally.
They're channel letters.
Yeah, they're just base lit channel letters, so it's not, there's no halo because of the raceway.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those, same sign. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Can you paint the other two red too?
Oh, boy.
Should ask.
Always ask for the landlord.
Right. Okay, third one up, UID 21-11-004, 2500 North High Street, Tompkins Studio.
All right, here it is, 2500 North High Street. I think this is one of the first cases that you approved board. I have a new mixed-use structure right here between Tompkins and Wilcox. To the east of North High Street. Pull up the pull up site visit pictures. Here's the new construction or still under construction.
Yeah, what's up with that? Thing's been under construction for about twice as long as it ought to be.
Haven't been
It's
doing.
usually the developer's fault, not the contractor's fault.
So you can see, and so where they're talking about putting the signs.
Isn't the already the developer too?
So with that,
Proposed work description, They're proposed to install new 17-inch by 25-foot LED halo lit channel letters on the sign band that says Thompson Studio. Included would be installation of 18-inch by 4-foot double-faced LED illuminated projection sign on the south end of the sign band. The sign will be installed on the west facing, facade facing. Staff analysis, the proposal is consistent with the recommendations of the University District Plan. Plan recommends that wall signs be limited in size to a maximum width of 2/3 of the width of the building front, a maximum height of 1/3 of the height of the space between the ground floor, translating the cornice of the building, and utilize internally lit channel letters. Projecting signs will be proportional to the building and located above the storefront display windows or transom and below the second-story window sills. Staff is recommending.
So there's only the one, and there's the blades on too, right?
Yeah. Are we doing the blade sign as well?
And, yep,
So,
Oh, yes.
Are you just with the sign company?
Yes.
Sworn in?
Yes.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony that you're about to give is truthful, truthful?
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to add to the application?
No, not necessarily, just some halo lit channel letters going on the sign band there, and then, I guess for the projecting sign, we chose the south elevation, corner, just more for the aspect of better visibility. As you can kind of see there, the overhang to the left's a little bit closer to the north side, so we select the south side, there's a little bit more room.
This is, and what is this now? Just the residential units inside?
Correct.
What was your name?
My name's Colin.
All
Yeah, Franklin, DRIK.
Anyone else have any comments?
my only comment is on the blade sign. I think it needs to be centered on the tile asked where you want to put, because it appears to be centered between the two windows above.
We see it.
You can really zoom in on. It's like it's centered between the windows and not. I think it'd be better if it was centered on.
I don't think it should be on that at all.
Yeah, I guess questioning the need for blades. I mean, basically, this is just the name of the building, right? And a blade sign is commonly used to announce like a retail food or a store or something. So just, do you know what what your client's desire for a blade sign is?
Just better visibility driving down the street, I believe. And if I'm not mistaken, they may have retail space in there, so maybe it has something to relate with that where the retail on the bottom floor is in the Tompkins studio of some sort, so you kind of know you're correct the building possibly. But we never really went over that or discussed it in detail now.
See the Tompkins Studio graphic again, or the blade sign graphic.
So,
It's very strange.
that's
Well, it's just a funny, it's not consistent with the what's it called? That crap again. Not Nakashima, what? The
Chihan the wood.
Nichiha. It's not consistent with the sign in that location, but it seems to me that if you did that, you would probably make it eccentric, you would drop it down, leave the bracket where it is and slide the rectangle down or up. Yeah, I don't know, it's just, it's funny, centered on the bracket.
That's what projects above.
Yeah, it's just, it's probably better if it projected low, actually. And it's not very legible. Into the studio or damn close to one another. Merges, even the right one, it actually looks like Korean. If I look at that quickly, I might think it's Korean.
You're trying.
Oh, come on, it has the circles. I don't know. Can we go back to the front one? I think it's too big. And I'm not talking about, I think it's too big in terms of it's so many inches or that sort of thing. I think it's out of scale with the brown. You know, something maybe that's no wider than the outside of the second and fourth pier. Something like that. I think it'd probably be too small if it was just.
You're talking about the walls.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just don't think I don't think there's enough space above and below it.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's really crowding. Yeah.
So what is do we know, let's see, the whole thing is 34, I can't read the number.
Says, I think it says 40, either 40 or 40.
What's that?
That's the height of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Not the letters.
Okay, the whole thing is 34.6, not the letters, really. The whole thing is
Yeah.
34.6. So having it is 17.3.
I'm sorry, you're looking at that.
No, just let me see the elevation. Scroll, please. So 17.3 is from center of pier to the edge on the outside. So it would be around 18 feet, something like that. That would be distance from the outside of the second pier to the outside of the third pier. Does that make sense? Or am I shrinking it too much?
It's too tall.
Could you guys speak into the mics? I can't.
I'm just doing. So what did you say the final?
I'd say around 18 feet.
That's
But 17.3 is half of it.
Yeah, 18 feet.
18 feet would get them to the outside of the, oh, there's
There you
the,
go.
yeah, zoom in, please, so we can read them. Where are we? 2'1", okay, 6'3" plus 12, 18'3", so I was off 3 inches. 18'3"
For the length.
for the width, yes. And then whatever proportionate size that reduces the letters to, fine, and probably centered on the field. Well, the blade's a little less offensive when the big sign is smaller, but the blade is kind of ugly is my only problem, and I don't necessarily want to sit here and redesign it.
Give them a conditional on the wall mounted.
Yeah, we can approve the wall mounted sign. This one, we don't think it, I don't think it architecturally works with the building. It's sort of weird. The type is crowded. I don't know, Carrie, what do you think?
I do think it's crowded. I mean, because it isn't the minimum 10 feet clearance model design, which they've got to, you mentioned earlier, it's gonna have to slide up, right? Because that,
I mean, I guess I'm struggling to understand why you need blades.
I mean, it's like skewed.
Yeah. Well, a blade sign makes sense for, you know, Donato's or OK Sharp or whatever the other businesses are, because the point is you're trying to track customers. I mean, this is basically the building, you know, it's akin to the Wellington or the Wilbur.
I just realized what would work if we approved sign, get rid of the brackets, mount it tight to the wall, make it no higher than the horizontal bar of the, Ichiha. So that's, what is the height of that bar? There's a dimension in yellow on the left there,
40 inches.
40, and this is how big?
This is 4 feet. The
4
projected
foot.
side's
4 foot O?
Yeah.
48 inches. That's what that's.
Okay, well, if it were no, if it did not break the horizontal, the the window height, the openings there, didn't break that plane, was centered on the pier like Harry had said, and did not have a bracket and was tight to the wall. But then it would need to be tweaked a little bit design-wise, because then we want a little bit more border on the bottom. So why don't you redesign the sign and come back to us on this?
Okay, that'll just be like next month.
Yes,
Okay.
but you can go ahead and do the,
All set.
All right, sounds like a motion.
okay, so I move to approve the application as submitted with the following condition that the Tompkins Studio wall sign be reduced to 18'3" in width with the appropriate height and proportion, and be located centered vertically on the bar of the facade, and that the blade sign is not approved at this time. And recommendations have been given to the applicant to revise and resubmit.
I just have one question. You guys said something about where it needs to be mounted. Where do you guys?
We were thinking it should be centered on the pier, not to the right, like you have it. And that it should not break the plane below the top of those windows. And then not have a bracket.
It should be between the top of the windows and the bottom of that thing. Is that right?
Yes, and you know, and you could also make a case that it should be flush with the right also.
Yeah.
With no space. You could make that case too. So it should be mounted with a little spacer. Not actually the box touching the facade, but a spacer of 1 inch to 2 inches. Right.
Just a
Just a little reveal to keep it separate, right? But no bracket. Bracket's really ugly.
Gotcha.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, I give you what you need.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. UID 21-11-005-1475 North High Street. 8th and I.
So here is the location, right across from 8th Avenue, between 9th and 8th Avenue on the west side of the street. We went out and took some site visits. This is still under construction, but it gives you an idea of kind of the existing street trees that are there. This is a mixed-use building that was recently approved. You can see the upgraded streetscape along North High. They're not proposing any additional landscaping along North High for this very reason. See here, there's some more. This is looking west, and you can see the existing curb cut that they covered there as well. Below.
Proposed work description. The applicant is seeking approval for landscaping and lighting at the June 24th, 2021 UIDRP meeting. The board approved application UID 21-11-202 with a condition that the applicant return for lighting and landscaping. The original proposal consisted of redevelopment of the site with a 6-story, 72-foot tall mixed-use building with a fitness center, lounge, 123 space parking garage, and future tenant space as well. The applicant returns this month requesting approval for exterior lighting and landscape. Applicant proposed a lighting package that borders the first floor and consists of surface, wall-mounted, and recessed LED lighting fixtures. The east and south sides of the building contain mounted exterior cylindrical LED fixtures on the application that would be type R, as well as recessed 4-inch LED can lighting. That would be type S on the proposal. At the entrance. Surface mounted LED floodlight fixtures, that's type T in the proposal, are proposed for the north side of the building and outside of the trash delivery area, as well as the parking garage entrance. Additionally, wall-mounted LED floodlight fixtures, type U in the proposal, will be used to highlight the living wall featuring the south side of the site along 8th Avenue. The proposal is generally consistent of natural landscaping such as perennial street trees and shrubs. A majority of the landscaping is proposed along 8th Avenue. It consists of 6 gold rush stone redwood trees. Schizophrenia. And Texas Greenway and the perennial beds. Additionally, 3 small bayberry trees are proposed to meet the sidewalk at the northeast corner of the building. Proposal is generally consistent with the UID, University District Plan guidelines, and therefore staff is recommending approval. Addition of natural landscaping materials. Proposed lighting package enhances and complements the architectural feature of the building. Staff supports this proposal, but encourages the applicant to give further details on lighting and landscaping for the proposed courtyard on the 2nd floor of the building.
Thank you. Y'all are raising your hands. You swear the testimony you're about to give is true, whole truth, and nothing. Do. You must tell us about the application.
Okay, so staff had recommended that we provide images as a refresher for the approved building design. So this is the view from 8th and High, showing the composition of projections and carved out recesses on all the residential floors above the podium. And then below the podium is along High Street, mostly transparent with brick piers in between large expanses of storefront. And then that turns the corner onto 8th and becomes somewhat more solid along 8th Avenue. So this is the floor plan. The only thing that's really modified on the floor plan as a result of the landscape submission is, let's see here, the red button.
Probably it won't show up on it.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, the wall that projects on the south elevation is now has a niche built into it that's 8 inches deep. That is for the purposes of a green wall. And I'll let Christian Hassenpratz is our landscape designer. I'll let him expound on that in a minute. But so essentially the strategy for lighting is to, since there's going to be a lot of glass along 8th and High, to accent or provide a wash for the brick panels that occur between the glass, because there's going to be a lot of ambient light coming from within the building during the evening hours anyway. So the down lights occur centered along the brick piers, which is oh, this is still it. They're all the approved elevations. Back to the landscaping. But okay, so this is the ceiling plan. So along the High Street side and along the 8th Avenue side, there are the downlight fixtures that are the type R that are really serving to provide a wash to the brick and give it a bit of an ambient glow. And then along the northeast side, the downlights turn the corner so that you have another downlight on the north-facing tenant space on the north elevation. And then as you proceed along the north elevation, those are more of a puck light that has a broader spread, and there's one wall pack along the center of the north elevation. And that's really to provide lighting, a security lighting between the retail tenant space and the trash room door, which is at the back, the far upper left-hand corner of the plan, northwest mark. And then along the west elevation, we have 2 sets of 3 of those puck lights that are there to mark the garage entrances. And that's one of the things that's changed in this since the approval is that the garage entrances now, it's not just a door on the face of the building, it's actually a recess where the ramp occurs because we needed to have a setback for the garage door from the alley. So what you see is that ceiling that's not shaded is actually exterior space. So with that being said, let's see, So the elevations have marked out which ones are the R fixtures that are the downlights. So you see that they're centered on the brick piers on the east elevation. And then they're also centered within the brick along the 8th Avenue elevation. Then on the north elevation, we've got the security light fixture shown in the center of that concrete wall. All these fixtures are mounted on the underside of the metal soffit at the podium level as well. So, and then these are the fixtures. The top left is the type R downlight fixture. The next fixture over is a recessed cannon, which I did point out on the plan. Those are occurring at the lobby entrance and at the retail entrance. And at the bottom, the southeast corner, is a set of 3 can lights recessed over the revolving door. And then there's a recessed can at the retail entrance of the northeast. And then the light that is on the alley on Wall Street and on the north side is the top right fixture. And then the bottom fixtures are the floodlight that we're proposing for over the green wall that Christian's going to talk about here. We actually presented 2 options for that fixture because we were able to get photometrics for the one on the left, but we like the looks of the one on the right better, even though it's still an area type light that's going to provide ample illumination for that area. So with that, I'll go back to the landscape. Present that.
The landscape is consistent with what we showed during the conceptual approval. I think most of the beds and a lot of the plant material that we were showing there hasn't really changed dramatically. I think really the biggest change is that instead of using a trellis system, we're just proposing using Boston ivy to allow itself to attach to the wall in the recess. And that's why we've got, we worked together to kind of create that 8-inch recess into that wall. And that just kind of provides a means of kind of controlling where the greenery is. You can see the 3 spotlights above that. There'll be a darker gray than what's shown in the photo so that it kind of ties in, kind of goes away, blends in with the brick a little bit more. But then the plant palette, as I said, is pretty consistent with what we showed previously. Try to use a lot of evergreen material where we could, just to provide some more year-round interest. And keep consistent with this kind of blending from High Street to 8th Avenue, that kind of middle ground of the kind of tree lawn space. And we're trying to kind of be that kind of bridge between those 2 spaces.
That cover?
Yeah.
Board members, any questions? I just have a couple of comments. So, I mean, you're all in for the ivy, right?
It's a lot, but it was one of those things that
Still working in his case.
Yeah, it's a thing. No, I mean, it's fine. So, and I have to say, I'm not familiar with this cultivar, but perhaps I'll use medicine boy. That's
well, we did work with the city on that. They pushed for that.
more than a multi-cycles.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they're hard to distinguish. But at any rate, so one thing I'm curious about is your Myrica, your Mayberry. I don't know what that's getting you. So are those solid panels on the garage that you're trying to cover up, or because you get one on the one side? I'm not saying it has to be symmetrical because I don't think the size of the bed's not symmetrical. But when you space them out like that, on the one on the left rather, not the single, I just don't know what that's getting you.
They are kind of centered between the window openings.
You said there's a window opening?
Well, it's the
Really?
garage.
Oh, is it decorative grill?
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah,
grate.
it's a metal mesh.
I guess for my part, I don't think you have to cover that up. Because these things will get
centered on
huge.
the brick, actually.
Is what?
I think it's centered on the brick between, not in front of the grates.
Okay,
So I don't know that they're showing up in this particular rendering, but
okay.
it was just an effort to get a little bit more, some semi-evergreen in there.
Well, no, that's true. So I think my last comment is, and I don't know if it's in your specs, but one thing to be cognizant of is for all these beds, you know what you're gonna be left with is just crap. I mean, it's gonna be compacted horrible stuff. So all that's gonna be torn out.
Well, yeah, we do have a soil amendment.
Okay. Okay, good. That's really my one comment.
Okay.
Thing on the lighting.
What was your name?
Oh, you know what? I didn't. So the kind of community amenity space that's on the second floor, is all that hardscape? Because is there any planting that's planned on that roof deck, or is it all hardscape?
Yeah, there's planting that's there. A lot of it is in movable containers or well, they're not movable, but they sit on top of the structure. There is
Just big pots then?
yeah. But yeah, we do have some in a few trees there as well.
Really? Are they in containers, or they?
It'll be a block. That one will be a built-in-place planter.
So they're gonna come back with that? Because I think we really need to see that.
Well,
But typically there's.
I guess it was our understanding that, it's, whatever,
It's not
the planting is gonna be set way back. And it's 30 feet back from this building edge. It's not gonna be anything that affects the streetscape.
I mean, typically we review those things. And that's the one thing we indicated to the applicant, that we would like to see that.
I've not seen, I don't know in the previous plans that got approved, I don't know that area was really, I don't know, being materially thought through. We knew it was gonna be a amenity deck, but it just really wasn't finalized yet, so.
Especially how it separates the private from the public space, right? I assume that you're doing that with landscape.
I'm curious.
Because there are apartments all on that level.
Oh, I know. Yes, yeah. So at any rate, I think you need to come back with that.
I have a question for you, Gary.
Yes.
Is this been too ambitious?
Is what?
Is this too ambitious for maintenance?
I don't think so. I mean, the one thing I was going to, I'm actually glad you brought that up, because you mentioned you recessed the masonry back to, that is not going to contain that ice. You're going to have to go in, you're going to have to trim it every year. That stuff, once it gets going, it's going to crawl around that wall, then it's going to start going. So, I mean, you can make it look like that, but you're going to have to work at it.
That's something that we've had that conversation with the client, so they're aware that
Okay.
it's really more of a guide for them to know where to trim.
That's fine.
We understand that it will continue.
I don't think the maintenance, Frank, is that big a deal, because a lot of the stuff like the bluegrass stuff, which is a native prairie grass. I mean, unfortunately, you can't burn it here probably, what it would really like, but a lot of the stuff, like even the variety, just cut it back once in the spring. And it'll look, unless we have a really, really severe winter, it'll look pretty decent all winter, and you just cut it way back and reflush in the spring. The trees you're not gonna have to mess with, the Everlow taxes, that will not get that big, that's not gonna be trimmed that big. So I don't think what I'm seeing is not like, oh my God, it's a lot to be painted.
Great. This is all facing south.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna get a lot of sun.
Is it irrigated?
I don't know if the client wants that irrigated or not.
Anything you're worried about it not?
I mean, I don't worry about it once it's established. And I personally don't like irrigation systems. Having said that, if you don't have one, you just gotta have an owner that understands they've made a substantial investment, and it's in their best interest to keep an eye on it. And if it doesn't rain for a month in July, you need to get somebody out there with water. So.
We have that in our response too, to have everything water till the first year or something, so.
Can we put up the light schemes, the colored alleys? Can you talk us through the colors here then?
Right. So red is, it's unfortunately it was rendered, but so the south elevation is the top, north is the second one down, west, third one, and the east. So the east High Street elevation is the bottom one. So what that's showing is the brighter bands are where the light is actually hitting a surface as opposed to an opening.
And that's brick surface, right?
Yes.
The color is not represented.
Right.
So you're putting a light at the top of every brick,
Yes.
and they're LED lights. And you showed us the fixture.
Yes.
Fixture worries me a little bit. It looks a little delicate. It's got a wire, it's got an aiming head and a wire coming out of it.
No, for the downlights, it's just a cylinder.
It's just a cylinder, okay.
The aiming.
The aiming ones are the green ones over the ivy wall.
All right, and then one above it then, where the lighting is just in what?
The one above it is the west elevation, which is Wall Street. So the big gray openings over the garage doors are. And so you get a little bit of a bleed over from the three lights that are over each garage entrance.
So red means it's hitting the facade and gray means it's a hole?
Yes. The next one up is the north elevation, which shows the, so on the right side of the north elevation would be Wall Street. So there's three of the more puck type fixtures on the right side, or I'm sorry, four. And again, those are just there to provide some security lighting to watch the surface. And then the light fixture is down low is the wall pack fixture. And
That's over an egress door.
it's not over an egress door, it's just that we had a dark zone in between, because the soffit breaks where you have that north courtyard. So we put a wall mounted fixture there where the soffit breaks. And then toward the left, those white zones are openings in the wall again. That's how
I got you.
lighting supplier renders these walls.
We were kind of hoping this was the Christmas decorative lighting scheme. And that you have one for every season or something. And then the green is just green because it's green. Is that?
That was just a coating.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have a question. I don't remember the plan. So on the north side of the building, on whatever street is that? Not 9th. What street is it?
Alley.
It's
No,
not an
the north
alley.
side.
The north side is a sidewalk.
There's no street. This thing goes street to street, doesn't it?
Alley.
No, Pierce Tube's on the north side.
Or is it not even an alley, it's just well.
It's not an alley, it's just a sidewalk.
Well, my question was, it's a street.
Side, streets on three sides. East, west, and south.
North is lot line.
Show that context.
So, right.
See,
Oh.
So the sidewalk, what, for fire? You just kept the 5 feet?
So what is,
5 feet for fire and also again to provide access for the tenants basically back.
okay. That's my bad. You never, there's no my point with it.
Are you comfortable, Terry, with our approving all of the landscaping but the patio?
Yes.
Does this mean that it's still a conditional approval?
Well, I mean, I think we can prove what's been submitted, but we did understand that you need to come back once the entity deck is done, be a separate approval.
It's just, we've always submitted that conceptual image of that streetscape along 8th, and I guess we were never, I guess it wasn't clear that we were going to require or going to need to submit the courtyard for approval as well. Or we would have worked for that date, but again, thinking that none of what's on the courtyard is impactful to the street.
I mean, the commissions and boards, they even review interior spaces and it's for the architectural design, all the guidelines. So Even if it's not visible from the street, it still gets reviewed. That's fine.
Every, had several recent plans where they've got, exterior amenity spaces that are not on the ground level, or we've looked at all of them, so yeah, I think it's something we're.
It's all part of the design.
Okay.
I think it's fairly global fusion. It's not a grade, it's, but I think it's still part of the exterior design of the building. So I mean, what I'm hearing is I think we'll move and improve what you've shown us today, just asking you to do that. Was it you're making the motion?
No, I don't hear anything. No, I'm happy to. So I make a motion that we approve as submitted with the understanding that once the, second story or second level, exterior amenity deck, that will be a separate, submission and plans this.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
I'm sorry, it's Christian what?
Hasenpratz, Hasenfratz.
Okay, and your name, sir, was?
John Stevens.
Okay, thank you.
Is it the written agreement? You're just disappointed. Or thinking of you. All right, next case up, UID 21-11-006, 207 East 15th Avenue. Chabad on campus.
Raw materials.
Oh, boy.
Do I spread them out or just hang on to what's
Like
left?
Louis was thinking.
Yeah. Okay. 207 East 15th Avenue. So here's the site location. Aerial is between 15th and 14th. Indianola and Summit, and you can see some of the buildings in the area. We have larger fraternity houses. We have a couple single family on the north side. We have a five. We have this large apartment complex to the east. We did a site visit of this location as well.
We, Liz, this building came in front of us like pre-pandemic, right? The design.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, this was the last case I did for the University Impact District.
See what, not clean living gets you?
He was just waiting for me to come back. So but that's right. So it appeared conceptually in 2019, December 2019. And then I think it did come back conceptually in January 2020, right before the pandemic hit. So this is the site visit pictures that I want to put today.
Sorry, we didn't give it final approval?
No, this is coming in for final approval now. It was just conceptual.
Oh, it's conceptual,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, right. So these are the houses. So these two houses would be demolished as part of this proposal. These are the existing Chabad houses there. You can see how the building next door is about 3.5 stories. Some of the trees, I believe these trees are staying.
Yes.
See, you going down the street, just get a view of some of the larger institutional style buildings that are on the block already. Buildings again, this is the parking in the rear right now. It's kind of gravel. You can see the rear of these buildings. They have had some additions on them. Okay, so the staff report. So two things we're going to be voting on. One is going to be the variances, recommendation of variances, and the other thing would be on the design of the building itself. So they're looking for variances to landscaping and screening to reduce the number of required shade trees from 2 to 1, but that's in the rear of the building where the parking is. To reduce the minimum number of required parking spaces from 60 to 15. Quite a variance, but they have a reason for that to drive that narrative. Maximum floor area from 0.6 to 1.1. Building lines to reduce the front setback from 44 to 39. And height to go from 35 to 37. And when she was here conceptually before, you guys indicated that the massing of the building, for the most part, you guys were conceptually okay with that. Proposed work description. So it's going to be the new facility for the Chabad house, landscaping and screening. She will return at a later date with graphics. Right now, there's 2 parcels totaling 0.39 acres. 2 potentially contributing structures were built between 1900 and 1920. They have 9,822 square feet. And right now it's used as an assembly space. New building would be 19,664 square feet, the 1.1 FAR 15 parking spaces. The building will function as a gathering space with recreational lounges, a synagogue, classrooms, offices, kitchens, a social hall, administration offices. There will be one apartment on site and 7 guest suites. That's changed from previous submission.
Is there no dwelling units previously?
Before there were 2, that's
There
correct.
was something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2. Both existing buildings will be demolished as part of this proposal. We're going over variances. So you can see the main changes. I talked to the applicant about this and I reviewed the previous conceptual reviews. Previously, main changes are that the brick on the sides and rear has largely been replaced with hardy panel cement board. There is still kind of like a brick water table line in there. The dormers have been modified. The front patio has been reduced in width. And on the south elevation, there was some discussion that it was just too boxy. So on the south elevation, the dormers were pulled out and extended down to the second floor to kind of break up that side of the building. So the University District Plan recommends higher intensity residential with a 0.6 FAR and a 45-foot height limit. They also discussed institutional uses, stating that new construction should be compatible with existing neighborhood fabric relative to style, scale, and density. And there on the street, there are several buildings similar to this. Site design for reuse or expansion should minimize negative impacts on adjacent properties in neighborhood area. So while the proposal will demolish two contributing structures, staff notes that new construction is generally consistent with other structures along 15th Avenue. It incorporates high quality design and it is consistent with the design guidelines. So we recommend the proposal is generally consistent with the guidelines regarding design principles and institutional uses. Staff would encourage the applicant to incorporate higher quality materials on the south, east, and west elevations. They previously had brick, but that's what the board did decide. And the board will have to take 2 votes, one for the variances and one for the building itself. That's it for me.
All right.
Can I ask him a question?
Yes.
Were those variances the same in the conceptual review as they are today?
I don't know if we really went over.
Yeah, I don't
variances.
They are, it's the same number of variances, so the broad strokes of it are the same, but the detail has changed slightly. So I think we had a variance, right now, we're saying 15 parking spaces, we had 16 before,
Okay.
things like that.
I just wanted to know if that was part of the discussion.
Well, let's start by swearing you in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth?
Sarah Mackert.
Sarah, you're gonna tell us about the application.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm actually impressed with your memory because I also took about a year off from this project, and when Louis and I were going over the details, I was scratching my head too to remember what we had last shown you. So the project did take a bit of a breather. It's difficult to raise funds for the project during the COVID pandemic. They are currently targeting submission for permit in January and groundbreaking in spring. We, through that time period, have also had the opportunity to work with a couple of different construction groups and get very hard details on the cost of the project. And when we're comparing that with fundraising capacity right now, that was where, of course, as you, I'm sure, hear all the time, the budget hit the road with the brick being on sort of our hidden facades, if you will, the alley facades and the facades that are in between buildings. So I'll just kind of flip through here. This is our architectural site plan. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because I think Louis already covered it, but it gives you some site data in terms of, our building width. You might see there, if I could zoom in, I would. It's 79 feet. Our offset, our sides, there we go.
We go lower.
I don't. You could look at that now.
Oh, I'm sorry. There you go.
Yeah.
You can't do that there. No, it's not that clear.
No, I know, but there's a blue box hiding my view.
Oh.
We got it. Okay. So, is that 70?
78.
Yeah, so 79 feet wide with about 50 feet on the west and about 6.5 on the east. Then our front yard setback, that the front yard setback is one of our variances. And really, we held that as far south as we could with the parking that we ended up with in the back. And our accessible access and everything. Okay. Oh. Sorry. Okay. This is just gross in the area. Here's our civil site plan. Grading for the site was very complex as well, because we have quite a bit of slope on this side of the street. So I've been saying 4 feet of slope on this site. We actually have closer to 6 feet of slope from east to west, down to the west, if you will. So making accessible parking at the back, and our accessible route is from the back along the east side of the building to the front patio, because on the north side, we have significant change in elevation from the sidewalk up to this site, which is very similar on both sides of the street. And we are proposing to maintain an existing stone wall on the north side. It's a retaining wall on the north side of the lawn. We're also proposing to maintain the 3 substantial existing trees. And I think we're going to get to maybe we have a chance to look at Google Earth later, but you can see that we're actually one of the few properties, few properties on this street that still has trees in our front yards. Most of these trees are actually in the median or the right of way. We're maintaining, they're huge. You can see them there, and we're proposing to maintain all of them. Thank you. This is just the layout of the basement, first floor, second floor, third floor. I'm happy to come back and give you details on any of this. And then we have elevations. So here you see at the top, this is the north elevation. So facing north is our primary elevation. We have 3 towers on the extreme east and extreme west. Those are stair towers, and then in the center is an entry tower. And those towers are clad in limestone. A sample over here that we can show you. So it's a cottonwood toned limestone, and there are some renderings that will be coming up where you can get a better idea of the application, but fairly large modular application. And then in between all of the towers recessed is the brick wall. And that is also kind of a blonde brick, very similar in tone to the limestone. We have standing seam metal roof, which is kind of in a charcoal gray. We have a mix of vertical glazing, which is storefront window kind of at the entry, as well as in each stair tower. And then we actually have casements with awnings that are staggered up and down the rest of the windows, and then a cable guardrail up top. You get a hint of fiber cement paneling on the dormers and at the very back of the rooftop terrace there. It'll be much easier to see in 3D. So I'm just going to kind of keep going here. On the side elevation, you see the water table at the base, number of punched openings, 1 large dormer. That's the same on both sides. And then the paneling above that. And there you can see the other elevation. We have all of our wall sections provided. Worked through a lot of the structural issues on this project already. Here is site lighting. So we do have some proposed security lighting over at basically every entry door. On the north facade, there are decorative, well, on the north and south, excuse me, there are decorative sconces, which you see in the top right. So the owner has yet to choose the final product, but they would be in that up-down lighting style. And then you have some landscape lighting basically around the rest of it. And here are some photos of the existing houses. Oh, and then these are all of our material cut sheets. So this is the limestone with brick, the hardy panel. And we are proposing a rain screen application, large format with Schluter edging. One detail I forgot to mention, around the storefront openings, we're proposing a wood thin detail. This is the wood product that we're proposing to use. Some reports on that. Standing seam metal roof. That color. Sort of.
Kansas limestone, it's real stone.
It is real stone, yeah.
No Jerusalem stone?
You remember the Jerusalem?
That's what they wanted.
That is what they wanted.
Pretty standard request.
Not cheap.
It's not very environmentally responsible either.
Oh, and these are this is the window package. So Zola is a distributor of European windows. So we're actually proposing to go with a product that is about twice as, has twice the energy performance of any US manufacturer. It'll be aluminum clad product. And actually that'll be all of our windows and doors.
And all triple glazed.
No, that was just, they'll be double. Actually, maybe they will be triple. No, they'll be double, I'm sure. I see that what we're currently quoted includes triple, but we've talked about doing that, but no. But no, we have the estimate accepted on this, so this is included right now.
Where's it made? So
So they actually source products from all over Western Europe. A lot of it is coming out of Germany, or different parts of Scandinavia. But
where do they assemble it?
so Zola is a distributor of all kinds of European windows. I think that's the end.
That we even have a. We have a landscape plan.
Yes,
I wasn't able to put that in the package.
that's okay. And then the fly through too would be great if we could do that.
Yeah. Like landscape plan for. Okay.
Landscape.
Yeah. So I think with all of your eyes, you'll see all the flaws that I see in this, but there's only so much we could do in 3D. But it will give you, I think that the material representations are accurate between the stone and the brick and the hardy. And then it's of course giving you all the windows and patios and things like that. But there are obviously little flaws here and there in terms of detailing.
Your drawings show more of a batten system. This shows more of a reveal or something. What's the difference? Which
Yeah.
is it?
It's more, I'm sorry that I didn't think that they showed a batten system. So this is like a panelization, so, I think they come in 4 foot by 8 foot, and we're proposing that those get kind of cut and staggered like a running bond, and then they would have, it's a rain screen reveal panel. So they actually have a fluter trim on every edge, which would help with them not deteriorating or getting damaged over time.
Do you have details for this?
Yes, we can go back to that. Their details are bet. We had a really hard time. We didn't even get samples. The only samples we could get were faux grain. We cannot get smooth fiber cement samples from anybody. But the best details for that are actually in the installation, which we didn't include.
I mean, part of what Frank's getting to is typically for the certificate of approval, what we ask for is kind of roughly the equivalent 30% CDs. So not a full CD set, but and I think you're covered on the wall section, but also some typical details, the ones that be kind of commonly seen in construction. Maybe window head, window sill,
Sure.
reveal detail.
Right.
I think we'd prefer, and we would prefer like details on your sheets as opposed to typical manufacturer's detail.
Sure.
Just so that it provides assurance that what we approve is what you're going to build.
So is it the rendering or the drawings that are correct? The drawings show a brick front,
The
stone and brick front, and this rendering shows hardy front.
They should both show the north side has always been brick.
Oh, I see. When it's the moire and the pattern. Okay, I understand, cost and how to do it. But I'm not happy about using brick as wallpaper. Right now, you've got brick on the front facade and it stops at the outside corner. I can't even find it in the side elevation, and there's got to be some edge of it or something. So I would tell you that the brick should stop at a place supportive of the design, not in a place that just makes it cheap enough. So honestly, in this case, I would ask you to take some of the brick off and not put the brick above the stone. Front facade again, please. Yeah, I think that little wing of brick is silly, especially since it doesn't turn the corner. And it's above something. Because I assume that the stone projects,
Yeah, that's how it stands.
so it just seems a little odd to,
But it's in mass, that brick mass of the wall is all planar, so it's a continuation.
I get it, but your material breaking an outside corner.
Well, I'd be happier if you're okay with it extending it
You
To the
can
back of the
extend it over the
to the
next.
back of the stair.
Yeah. Something, but the way it is now, you can't break it.
Yeah,
You're saying up here.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that like right now, it changes right.
Yeah. Yeah. I apologize for that detail. Part of this too is we're value, how the value engineering process works.
Indeed.
Some of these details kind of happen quickly in the model space, but
so this is not the joint pattern that you're proposing for the hardy fibers.
oh, I see, because it's just like almost a stack bond.
Yeah, but if you go to the other elevation, the rear elevation, it's the same way.
And I'm not sure the way it's sort of
as a city around the windows necessarily the best either. Or the
Uh-huh.
easiest to
See, I
choose.
prefer your rendering with the staggered.
Yeah.
I think it has, I don't know,
More movement.
I don't know, it somehow works better with the stone and with everything. I don't like these horizontal lines
Mm-hmm.
much.
Yeah, I think that my design intent is that it is staggered, not only down below where it's called slightly larger scale panel, but up above as well.
I think there may even else to see where, I think your points there, the since you're right, you're quite funny. You notice this line again.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like, totally get it. We've all been there and, I think it seems to me there's sort of, kind of tweaks and cleanup to do to get to the.
Yes.
Before you're ready for the.
I completely agree.
In the model, does it resolve those issues?
No, we actually have to change we have to get all of the decisions, all the decisions were previously made based on masonry dimensions. So now we have to we have to find the hybrid between the masonry and the hard.
Are they like sit on the stone, just out of curiosity? I mean, this is the most expensive thing in the project, isn't it?
Well, we looked at like manufactured stone, they hated all of it. They have very expensive tastes, but it's a nonprofit group, so. And their interest is in building a building that will last 100 years or more, so they're taking these decisions seriously, and, if the building needs to cost, they've continued to say that their budget is $6 million. Well, right now it's a $7 million building, and they kind of said, well, we'll see what we can cut, but really, if we just need to raise another $1 million. I don't know. I mean, they're really invested in this project, and they really do care about it, but they're also falling apart at the seams in their current facility. So it's a really stressful conversation for them, because also the group that is, you met them, the rabbis and the program directors, they came in and they shared their story. They've been in these buildings for years and years and years. And they're simultaneously running all of the programming for Ohio State students and spending their nights and weekends flying to meet with donors across the country. So
You could tell them, though, I would love for you to use real stone, but the problem, I understand why they don't like the cast stone, because it looks too homogeneous. But when it ages closer to stone, then it looks more natural as it ages. When it's put in fresh, it is pretty flat.
So, I mean, I guess I would say, why not just go with the green brick? Like, are they,
Mm.
I mean, there's a difference between something that'll last 100 years and something that looks expensive.
well, actually the brick is more expensive.
Oh, the stone, really?
We got our initial cost back, basically was $85 a square foot. We dug into that, and it was mostly the brick.
Because you have a lot. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is like the three towers, which were currently in stone, if you did the three towers out of green brick, and then you did fibers of the remainder. I mean, to me, it's not quite so, this is a rather loose analogy, but it's a little bit like a Palladian villa. It's sort of four-sided and it turns pretty cleanly. And so in a way, by like plotting the front, you kind of do service to the scheme, right? And it's like you would almost be better off with the three towers and kind of a nice blonde velvet brick, and then fibers cement. I mean, this is nice. It just seems like if you're dealing with budget issues, is it really helping you? I mean, you could even get rid of the water table, because I feel like that's, a fair amount of money in masonry that, in the long run, I don't know if it's see it now.
Well, the cement board isn't so good.
Yeah, we were
Too
worried
close to
about,
the ground.
we were worried about, again, heavy student use. Durability.
I think you're gonna find that your client is wedded to some stone in the building, because it's kind of a thing. So you've gotta fix all this. I don't think we've seen anything that anybody hates here, it's just that you gotta
Clean up.
make it all work. Because right now, we can't approve something based on the fact that the rendering is one way and drawings are another way.
And like the stone is shown on the elevation, it sort of looks like, you know, it's the, sort of the way it's detailed classically with the recessed joint. Is that really what you're doing? Or is that just kind of, see how it's, I mean,
Yeah, like an ashlar.
right, yeah. So I mean, to do this right, you would typically have the joint, you cut it down. The joint is on
Yeah,
but then the recess.
Yeah, it will be grouted.
Oh, no, he's saying that it would be not, that the face is notched and then there's the joint. So in the recess is a 3/8 inch joint plus maybe an inch or two of recessed stone
Oh,
to make the
no,
reveal wider.
it's a much,
Yeah, because if you look at the size of the joint, right, that's like.
yeah, that's just a,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's kind of, I mean, I think to Frank's point, I think the design's pretty clean. I think the good. I think, as you said, you're in the middle of a process with a client who is emotionally attached to an ideal of the building, and unfortunately, they're at a period of time where, you know, we're all struggling. So, I mean, seems to me there's a bunch of cleanup to do, so kind of getting the materials to, and the drawings to look like really where you want it to be. And I think the wall sections are pretty good. I think some typical details would help. It seems to me that's kind of what.
Just need to reconcile everything and accept your new budget reality.
Or more difficult to get your client to accept your new budget.
well, at least we know where we are.
It will change tomorrow. You know, I think that's what we're all dealing with.
Well, while I'm here, I know it's getting late, but I'd love to show the landscape plan as well and get some thoughts and feedback on that.
Please. So do we want to wait on everything, or do we want to vote on the variances, or do we just want to wait?
Pull up your thing again. Let's see the variances.
All we're doing is recommending a variance.
We do, but I mean, I don't think like,
No, we vote on variances based on conceptual.
Prior
Yeah.
to the design.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm saying we could do the variances.
Yeah, I mean,
that.
I don't see anything.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Because they're already through the variance process with the.
Okay, required shade trees 2 to 1, that's at the rear. And you're keeping the 3 up front. Parking spaces 16 to 15, what was the reasoning? Because it's not really a dwelling unit, or you said there was a reason.
Yeah, so they don't drive for any of their large events.
Okay,
Because it's on the Sabbath,
right.
and you're not driving on Saturday. So.
And sustain-
That's the short version.
I'm good with that, it's sustain. Against the quarter. Yeah. One question, nothing to do with any of this. What's up with the weird basement units without windows?
Well, those are guest suites, short-term stay for, when they have
Okay.
guest speakers come in from out of town. We had windows before.
They got what?
We eat out.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean code. You have to have
It's
fire
fully,
egress.
it's a fully suppressed building,
Say again?
fully suppressed fire suppressed.
If it's fully fire suppressed, then you're too,
Just like the dorm in California.
So again,
Look it up.
a little bit of cleanup. I think we're hoping to squeeze in windows. It's a very tight fit, but we think we can get them in between the structural steel and so have a little pop-up in each of those rooms. So I didn't bring that. That's adding costs back in, so.
I mean, nothing more dismal. All right, you want to do a motion on variances?
Sure, I move that we support the variances as requested.
A second?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes in support of the zoning there.
That keeps you going.
That keeps me going.
Landscape?
Landscape.
Yes, that's it.
Um, okay, so, yeah, Louis, you're gonna have to zoom in first. Sorry.
Is it in here?
Yeah, if we can kind of look through the plantings first, and then there aren't so many that I don't think we can. So basically, I've got native grass, Indian grass there, some native prairie dropsy grasses that are shorter.
My favorite grass in the world, by the way. You better drop it. Oh, yeah. that's awesome.
Yeah, and great in our, a lot of this is selected for lighting conditions and clay soil. We have two options on the evergreen shrub. Your sprinter Korean boxwood and then the inkberry holly. And that's again for like
Go with
winter.
boxwood.
The boxwood.
Yeah, I never heard that one.
What was that, Karen?
I would go with boxwood, not the inkberry.
You have one columnar evergreen tree. You keep going down.
Yes, I'm just trying to write.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you-
Okay, and then we have our new tree, our deciduous flowering dogwood that is being proposed.
I'd go with something else. Yeah, I think that's an ornamental tree. It's just gonna get blasted back there. I mean,
Yeah, it is southern.
it's a native understory tree, and they like full size of flower better. I don't think it's good. I would do like anywhere the improved elms. They're fairly fast growing and cut as hell. It's gonna be a pretty unforgiving environment surrounded by hot asphalt and south facing. I think it's just gonna cook it all the way.
Okay. Thank you.
Cook a dog with,
Yeah.
In terms of perennial flower plantings, just a few natives in there, kind of all within that violet family. So those I'm proposing to scatter throughout the perennial bed, which you'll see. It's hard because we won't get much sunlight, so probably, I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, but
Well, I mean, a lot of the stuff you're showing really wants full sun, so all prairie grasses, no shade. So I was concerned what you showed at the front under those solar maples, because you're not gonna grow prairie grass for that.
yeah, and I just put the prairie grass out at the very corners in front of the stairs where it might get hit with east and west sun.
I would rethink that. I mean, it just, they really want to be in the sun all day long. I'm just afraid they won't do well.
Okay. Well, then that gets us down into our shade.
Why are those springs?
So the majority,
I think like Sia, whatever. something like that.
yeah,
One that I really wanted to use that,
sedums are sun, but down here I've got Solomon seal, variegated. And then I've got hostas and ferns. And that would be-
okay.
Chef and Daniel with lattice.
and then as a ground cover, a juga.
You go.
Juga.
Can't kill that.
We're gonna see it. I've never used it.
Yeah, northern seals. It's a grass, thrives in shade.
I'll tell you another one that I've always wanted to use
Yes.
Yeah, sea oats.
is Pennsylvania sedge, which is a native understory grass that's just beautiful. And you really have to cut it like once a year.
I got northern sea oats on the trees.
Really? It does well?
Those mine. That's
Wow.
taken care of.
That's great.
Sedges.
So the only beds we'll have, the green space we'll have is on the north. And again, we're keeping the three existing trees. So I'm proposing two perennial borders, basically extending across the entire length of the property with one void. That is the entry walk. So there is some existing lawn that I'd like to keep behind a stone wall. And that would be the only lawn left on the property, more or less, because I think what's under the trees has naturalized into, I don't know, it's sparse vegetation, but it's not grass. So I don't know if it's better to just try to plant out the entire understory with something, or mulch it, or, but there's a lot of trash on the street. There's so many fraternity houses, and I know that this is a non-drinking facility, so, but they do constantly clean beer cans and cardboard and all kinds of stuff out of their yards. So, you know, that was also part of the reason for densifying the planting, so that there, as debris is blown in, it's maybe a little bit faster to clean it up.
Trying to think, not the, okay, so this is a tree lawn here, right? It's a sidewalk and it's a tree lawn, there's a street.
Yeah.
So one thing you might do to really kind of, if there's no trees out in here, one thing you might do if you're really kind of married to the prairie grass, is what if you get a border behind the stone wall and then you can have a turf behind that? That's going to get a lot of sun.
Well, there's actually a lot of trees in that
Yeah.
area.
Okay, well, that'll work. We're going to be okay.
Speaking of trees, can you go back to that, please? I'm not convinced any of those trees are gonna live.
I was gonna tell them, so I don't want to be a Debbie Downer about this, but aside from the construction, they're silver maples. They're not,
Those are silver maple?
Yeah. they're not, they're not long lived, they're weak branch.
And you're putting masonry there, you're gonna have skid loaders, running over the roots.
Let's go back to the street view from what.
And maples are pretty, their roots are pretty high, aren't they?
Yeah, well, yeah, they're funny. I'm 99% sure those are silver maples.
They have the branching,
Yeah, they got bad branching.
Bad branching.
Right here, you can see that kind of.
bad crotch angles.
Exactly, that's a really neat part. I can't believe that's fair to split. I'm sorry to be a Debbie Downer about it, but it's just. They're not great trees. So, you know, I mean.
On every tree ever sees.
It's not a matter of taking down every tree. It's just unrealistic expectations is what we're worried about.
I was always found the landscape architects are the ones least sentimental.
I'm not sentimental about it at all. I mean,
Exactly.
I'm not a tree hugger. So, I guess what I'm saying is that, you know, yeah, they do add character when they're, you know, right now. But I think it's an opportunity to start fresh. Right, you know, so if you really want to have a couple of trees, you've got the opportunity to, you know, spend money to go buy a $4 or $5 tree. But I think in terms of your landscape plan, it makes it a lot more flexible for you. A lot of the things that you're showing that really need full sun, you could actually do that. At least on one side, we're going to plant one big new tree and then we have a perennial bed for the other side that's just bathed in sun all day, and it'll work.
I was always told that a 2.5-inch tree will overtake a 4.
Not if they're properly. If you dig a big enough tree ball, that's the big thing, is the bigger the tree gets, people try to sheep out and they cut more, the roots off, it just sits there or it dies. So,
I know that's a lot of ifs though, yeah.
you know, well, I mean, you do specify based on the diameter of the tree, how big the ball is supposed to be in relation to that, but I've had more than one tree farm. I'm not selling real estate, but they'll even kind of cheap out on it, so at any rate. I think there's some truth to that, but not hard.
Well, they're riskier.
Yeah.
The bigger the tree, the
Bigger the
riskier
tree,
they
yeah,
are.
potentially.
But if we did propose to take out these trees, the expectation is that we put in a larger caliber.
Not necessarily, because I don't think I'm not aware of any code, but I'm just saying
We're
that,
not gonna let you replace it with dogwoods.
Okay.
I think it's an opportunity.
Although this is the north elevation.
Right. But I think there's an opportunity for you to do a success. I like a lot of the plans you were showing there. But I think given the condition we got, I mean, a north face, plus it's gonna be in shade by those trees, I don't think it's gonna work. I think to make that happen, you're gonna really plant palette.
We can definitely swap out the colorful plants, which obviously, there are some options we can do in the shade. And keep the ferns, the hosta, I hate hostas, but that's what everybody has. And the juga, which will grow in any light conditions.
So
That's all very low.
I'm talking about a juga, it's not as bad as bamboo that's been containing it, because it'll end up in a place you don't want it. It just keeps going, and it's just really hard to get rid of.
Okay. Okay, well, I can think of all that. I can-
Lily. I'm getting it.
Okay. Well, thank you for all those thoughts. I will be able to incorporate that before. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I give you what you need.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now you have to lug these samples back with you.
Yeah.
Or you could give it to Lewis and he could like,
No, nobody wants to keep the,
how can
they
you,
go to my garage.
tell me how you justify no windows in bedrooms with porcelain tile patio?
That wasn't.
Yeah. But we haven't talked about, it's not really the owner is the owner. The owner is the donor who's already paid for the patio out front,
That makes it.
but doesn't want to pay for the windows.
That makes.
Oh, he wants the plaque. Yes.
Speaking of Uranus.
Yes.
Hey, sir, you work with Clark and Farley?
I am.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I heard. Great colleagues.
Yes, they're the best. I'm very lucky to snatch them up when they got bored elsewhere, so.
You got a good team.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. What else do we have?
We have the staff issues, certificates of.
Anything interesting?
No. It was, see what we had, 2 items.
Wall sign reface, Torino, and windows on rear.
Yep, nothing,
Okay. Can I get a motion?
Dan. No.
Where the hell did he go?
John.
All right, I help you with that.
Have we voted on those? I thought we didn't vote on them. The last.
We have.
Yes. Do it.
That's why I remember.
Well, that's why they're there.
Yeah, we have to formally approve.
and, actually, I mean, if you don't mind, they also try to tighten things up a little bit. Getting a motion to continue an item.
That's right.
A best practice.
You mean like on
Like
a
we just happened-
case?
we just happened with Sarah, so we'll continue for her to come back if we can get a motion.
Can we get a motion without her there? I guess we can. We gotta wait.
And we just need Carrie to come back. I was
Right.
gonna bring it up with Carrie left. So I don't think.
That's right. It was mentioned, Elkins mentioned it last month, I think, that the idea is there's always a motion at the end.
I move we continue the last case.
We need it more. So we're making a motion to continue the previous application, the lot.
Like Oliver.
I agree.
Or Hanukkah.
Second.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Okay. All right, moving down the line, can I get a motion to approve staff approved applications?
I make a motion to approve them.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Passes.
Okay.
New business, so good.
No.
We got you until January.
This is it for me. This is it.
Oh, just the one.
It's been a pleasure.
So who does December then?
Focus.
Oh, I bet she sent us an email. She said she was gonna be gone.
Surprise.
Yes, he's supposedly like.
Yes, but they gave her permission. They gave her permission to do the next meeting virtually.
Oh. But how does that work? I thought the whole.
Hybrid meeting, they'll be in,
Yeah.
hybrid meetings. WebEx.
But yeah, no kidding. And I thought that we can't do hybrid because the
I-
whole
Well, I guess they made an exception for her medical.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
You just wouldn't do it, that's why.
We should probably.
One meet off the microphone. Yes.
Are we done? Can we start?
Yeah.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Adjourned. Okay,
Recorder up, is that what you're waiting?
Yes.
yes.
The live stream.